Shrouq Aila, who is an independent journalist and producer. Her husband, the journalist Roshdi Sarraj, was killed in an Israeli airstrike in October. He ran Ain Media, which Aila now heads. Aila, if you can talk about what happened to your husband and what Ain Media is, the organization you now head, and how you try to cover Gaza every day from the ground. We're speaking to you in Deir al-Balah, Gaza, in front of a hospital. If you could, Shrouq, tell us what happened to your husband and what is Ain Media that he's headed and now you head.
All right. Like when this genocide started, it was on the 7th of October. At that timing, we were traveling abroad, Roshdi and I, and our daughter, Dania. She was at the timing 10 months old. And we were traveling for a work trip outside of Palestine. And then when this genocide hit the Gaza Strip, we decided to immediately cancel everything and like speedily return to Gaza Strip, because when it comes to wars and you are just outside, you die different times of not being with your families and also not joining in doing the duty of documenting the reality on the ground. So we arrived to Gaza Strip on the second day of this genocide, and we immediately moved to the family house of Roshdi, because our house is on the 7th floor, and when it comes to pumpings, it's better to be in lower floors because of the shrapnels and also because of the non-stopping shakings of houses because of the heavy rockets. So we decided just to move to his family house, and Roshdi decided to go and document alone. Why he decided to go to document alone? Because in the first day, on the 7th of October, the Israeli army launched several rockets on the north of the Gaza Strip, and it actually hit our team. One got killed, 2 are missing so far. We are not even able to know whether they are under the rappels or they are kidnapped in the Israeli jails, and hopefully it's the second option. Like we believe it's never alive in being in a prison, but at least like having them alive is such a sign. But so Roshdi, after losing one of their members, Ibrahim Lafi, and losing 2 members, Haytham Abdelwahid and Nidal Louhedi, from the Ain Media team members, so he decided to go and film alone, and I decided to stay at home with our little baby. And this, to be frank in this, that I never decided to stop him doing this documenting, because it's such a duty, and when you decide to be a journalist, so it's a journalist for a life, it's a sentence for a life. And then after being able to do the document like every day, like on Sunday, the 22nd of October, 2023, like let me say directly after 2 weeks of the beginning of this genocide, Roshdi was preparing himself to go to do the documenting inside the ambulance, and I was at that timing hesitating about him leaving to go to do the documentation inside the ambulance, because since this war started, lots of ambulances got attacked and lots of medics got killed because of the severe attack against the health workers. So I was convincing him to try to not to be in the ambulance and just stay at the hospital, like watching over the ambulance movements and so. But unfortunately, like we had that discussion, and then he decided just to go. I said no. First you have to ask your family about going in an ambulance, and then after we finally decided like it's totally fine to go to do his duty, to do the documentation inside the ambulances, and how the health worker are really doing hard work in terms of brushing and going for risky areas to rescue the casualties. So we decided he can just go, but Roshdi decided that he will never leave the house before we have breakfast together. So he gathered all of his family members and he insisted at that time to have the breakfast together. And like his mom told him, like, you can just leave, have your breakfast and just leave. You are quite busy, you know what is ready for the breakfast. But he really insisted to have the breakfast. Maybe he has that sense that it is the last breakfast and he wanted to leave us a memory in this. So once we started to have the breakfast at 11 a.m., we heard a very massive explosion, like too close to the house. This explosion actually made the table to move. So we immediately rushed to the ground floor, because there's that believing that when it comes to too close bombings, you better just to go for the ground floor or to the stairs. I know it's not a safe area, and but you know, that sense of you are not controlling your field because you're just hearing non-stopping bombings nearby. So we rushed to the ground floor. And we stood together. We were 9 members at that time, and I was holding Roshdi's hand, and he was quite close to me. I was holding Dania on the other hand, and she's a baby. She was 11 months old. So I was holding his hand and just discussing with him of how nearby are those explosions, because we are feeling that things are like falling and there are like glasses are getting broken. Like I was super afraid, all of us. So in a plank, like before the explosion, in 2 minutes, in 2 seconds, Roshdi just moved from being my side, and he stood in front of me. So basically he gave me a shield. And after 2 seconds, I was just trying to let him get it back where he used to stand, and everything went into dust. Like in just a second, everything went into dust. At that moment, I thought that I got a low sugar pressure, because you know, when it comes of bombing, of when you are attacked, you will never hear the explosion because of the air pressure. So the first thing that I wasn't able to see anything, it was just dust. Then I started to smell the gunpowder, the concrete, the burned concrete, and the dust. So I tried just to wave my hand, searching for my husband, for my Roshdi, and I wasn't able to find him. Like 1 minute later, I felt there was something very very heavy on my legs. So I tried to search what is that, because I cannot just move my legs for this. And then unfortunately it was Roshdi, and he got hit in his head. But it was 1 centimeter, a crack in his head. But I could see at that moment the brain from inside. So I tried to hold on my breath. I called the ambulances, and they said, we apologize for not coming to the area because the area is being under heavy attack and it's not stopping since 20 minutes. So I called my brother. He's a doctor. I described to him the injury of Roshdi, and he told me that you cannot do anything for him. Try to walk and go to the hospital. So we carried Roshdi and we walked to the hospital. It took us almost 15 minutes until we arrived at Al-Quds hospital in the Tel El-Hawa neighborhood. But he didn't make it. Like he immediately left us. left us but he didn't just left us, he also left a reality of that Israel has been deliberately targeting the journalists in the Gaza Strip.
Shrouq Aila, we want to thank you so much for being with us. I'm so sorry you had to share that painful story. Our deepest condolences on the death of your husband. Shrouq is an independent journalist who has taken over Ain Media, which her husband headed, the journalist Roshdi Sarraj, killed in an Israeli airstrike in October. We thank you so much for being with us from Deir al-Balah in front of Al-Aqsa Hospital.